Let me tell you something that will change how you carry yourself from this moment on. The most powerful woman in any room is not the loudest. She's the quietest. Because when she goes silent, the world panics. People wonder what she's thinking, what she's planning. And that, my love, is your power. Have you ever noticed how some people get utterly uncomfortable when you stop talking? They expect noise, drama, reactions, anything but silence. Because silence holds up a mirror that reflects the raw truth. And weak minds are terrified of what they see in that reflection. When you choose silence in the face of chaos, insults or manipulation, you're not giving them power. You're giving them a reflection they desperately want to avoid. Think about a moment when someone tried to provoke you. Maybe a co-worker throwing shade, a friend gossiping, or even someone who doubted your worth. You responded once or twice, but then you stopped. That pause, that's the mirror. Suddenly they don't hear their words bouncing back at them anymore. Instead, they see themselves. And what do they see? Insecurity, jealousy, their own weaknesses exposed by your calm. The world is loud with opinions, criticism, noise, meant to drown you out. But silence makes the noise look silly. It forces people to confront their own chaos instead of projecting it onto you. It's like standing still while the storm rages around you. The louder the storm screams, the more solid you become. Picture this. A child in school is bullied every day. The bullies shout, taunt, try to get a reaction. The child ignores it. No tears, no cries, just silence. The bullies get confused. Why isn't she breaking down? Why isn't she fighting back? The silence becomes a mirror that unsettles their cruelty. In that quiet strength, the child owns her power. She shows them that their words have no grip on her soul. That's the power silence holds. It refuses to feed the fire. Or think about a famous leader, someone who could dominate a room not by shouting, but by listening quietly, by pausing before answering. Their silence forces everyone to lean in, to wonder what's going on in their mind. It unnerves the loudest voices because that silence reflects their own uncertainty. The weak talk because they are insecure. The strong pause because they know what they hold inside. I want you to understand something vital. When you stop reacting, you take away the fuel that feeds toxicity. When you choose silence, you're refusing to play the game on their terms. You're not surrendering. You're reclaiming your dignity. The world will try to throw you off balance with noise, but silence steadies your foundation. It's like a calm ocean beneath a stormy sky. No matter how wild the waves get, the ocean's depth stays untouched. Here's a truth most don't want to admit. People often talk to cover their ignorance or pain. Their words are weapons shaped by their wounds. When you refuse to engage, your silence becomes a mirror, showing them the emptiness of their attacks. It exposes their masks and forces them to see that their noise isn't as powerful as they want you to believe. Weak minds panic in front of silence because silence unmasks them. Remember those times when someone gossiped behind your back, expecting you to respond with anger or hurt? You didn't. You let the silence speak louder. And guess what happened? They became restless, uncertain, sometimes even desperate for your reaction. That's the mirror at work. Your silence made them face the truth that their words couldn't break your spirit. Silence doesn't mean you're small. It means you are too big for their petty noise. It means you have decided that their opinions don't define you, that you're anchored in a strength they can't touch. The loudest person in the room might be the most insecure, but the quiet one, the one who watches, who listens, who doesn't waste energy on meaningless battles, she's the one who holds real power. Imagine a moment of conflict with a partner or a friend. When emotions run high, people expect fights, tears, shouting matches. But you choose silence. You hold your peace. Silence doesn't weaken your position, it strengthens it. It forces the other person to confront their words, their behavior, and their motives. Your silence is a mirror reflecting back their true self, sometimes for the first time. You see, silence has a wisdom that words often lack. Words can be twisted, misunderstood, weaponized. But silence is pure. It is the space where clarity lives, where control is reclaimed. And it terrifies the weak, because it exposes what they try to hide behind noise. Their doubts, their fears, their insecurities. So next time someone tries to shake you with words, remember, their loudness is a mask for their weakness. Your silence is the mirror that will show them who they really are. It's not your job to explain yourself to those who don't want to understand. Sometimes, the most powerful answer is to say nothing at all. Because in that silence, you're saying everything. When people see you go silent, they often mistake it for weakness or defeat. They think she gave up or he lost the fight. But let me tell you, silence is never surrender. Silence is a move so powerful, so deliberate, that it leaves everyone else scrambling to figure out what just happened. It is not the absence of strength, it is the presence of control. It is the calm before the storm, the chess player holding back their queen to win the game. You see, in life, the loudest voice often tries to dominate the conversation. But the smartest move is often the quietest. There is a difference between reacting and responding. And silence gives you the power to respond, not just react. When you pause, when you withhold your words, you are giving yourself space to plan, to strategize, to regain your power. Silence is the ultimate strategy, because it makes others reveal their true intentions while you hold your cards close to your chest. Imagine a heated argument with a loved one. Words fly like arrows, accusations are thrown, and emotions run wild. But instead of joining the chaos, you choose silence. You don't raise your voice. You don't try to defend yourself in that moment. People expect a reaction, but you give them a pause instead. A quiet calm that unsettles them. Your silence forces them to stop, think, and sometimes even question themselves. That silence is your strategy. You are not losing. You are simply playing a longer game. Think about a skilled negotiator. Have you noticed how often the best negotiators don't to raise the bar. That's why debate goes rush to fill every silence. They listen carefully. They hold back their demands. They let the other side talk more than they do. That silence is their secret weapon. It creates tension, makes the other party uncomfortable, and often leads them to reveal more than they intended or to offer better terms. It's not weakness, it's the art of strategy. The power of holding back to gain more. This is the same in everyday life. Have you ever been in a situation where someone provokes you, tries to bait you into an argument, and you just stay quiet? That quietness confuses them. They start overthinking, doubting their approach, losing their edge. Your silence is a strategic shield. It protects you from unnecessary battles and preserves your energy for the fights that truly matter. It shows that you are not impulsive. You are wise. In relationships, silence can be the most profound form of strength. When someone tries to manipulate you with guilt, blame, or anger, responding in anger only feeds the fire. But choosing silence isn't about weakness. It's about taking control of your emotions and refusing to be a pawn in someone else's game. Silence lets you observe, understand, and decide your next move with clarity. It's a way of saying, I'm above this. I will not stoop to chaos. Think about leaders who inspire millions. They don't always speak loudly or frequently. Sometimes their silence at critical moments speaks louder than any speech. It signals confidence, self-control, and a mastery over their own emotions. They teach us that power is not in how much noise you make, but in how well you hold your ground when everything around you is loud and chaotic. Silence also means you're protecting your inner peace. Life will throw challenges, criticisms, and provocations your way. You could engage in every battle, explain yourself 1,000 times, and still never satisfy everyone. But with silence, you choose peace over chaos. You decide which battles deserve your voice and which don't. This strategic silence guards your energy, your mental space, and your dignity. In moments of doubt or confrontation, remember, silence is your strategic pause. It's your way of saying, I'm not defeated, I'm gathering strength. It's the wisdom to know that sometimes the best way to win is to wait, to watch, and to move only when the time is right. Silence is not your surrender flag, it's your secret weapon. When you master the art of strategic silence, you become unstoppable. People will try to rattle you, provoke you, drag you into fights, but you will remain calm, collected, unshaken. That is power. That is strength. That is control. And it all starts with one simple move: choosing silence over noise. Have you ever noticed how silence can turn the tables in the most unexpected ways? When you stop talking, when you choose to stay quiet, something incredible happens. You create curiosity. And curiosity, my friend, is power. It pulls people in, it makes them wonder, it makes them want to know more. In that moment, you control the entire narrative without uttering a single word. Your silence becomes magnetic. It invites questions and attention, but it never gives away the answers. That is a secret weapon few understand, yet everyone admires. Imagine a scenario at work where your ideas get challenged or your contributions overlooked. Instead of rushing to explain or defend yourself, you simply listen. You watch. The room fills with a subtle tension because people expect you to react, to justify yourself, but you don't. Your silence makes them pause, makes them question their assumptions. Why is she quiet? What is she thinking? What does she know that we don't? Your silence becomes the silent conductor of the room, guiding the mood and the flow of conversation without a single spoken command. Think about a moment in a social setting where gossip or drama starts to swirl around you. Instead of jumping in to defend or attack, you stay calm and silent. People start to notice your silence like a mystery waiting to be unraveled. The curiosity grows. Why aren't you joining in? What are you really feeling? Your silence places you in control, because while others expose themselves through words, you reveal nothing. You become the enigma, the person others want to understand but can't quite figure out. In relationships, this is especially powerful. When someone pushes your buttons, tries to provoke a reaction, your silence is your greatest strength. It makes them stop and wonder, why isn't she responding? What does she know that I don't? Your silence controls the energy of the interaction. Instead of being pulled into their chaos, you own the calm. You own the moment. In that silence, you send a clear message. You are not easily shaken. You are not easily read. And you will not be controlled by their drama. Have you ever noticed how powerful silence is in a negotiation or in business? When one side stays quiet after a proposal or a demand, the other side feels the pressure to fill the void. The silence stretches, and curiosity builds. Will they accept the offer? Will they counter? The silence puts you in the driver's seat, controlling the pace and the direction of the conversation. You don't have to rush to fill every second with words. Instead, your silence becomes a strategic pause that makes others reveal more than they intended. Your silence is like a calm lake reflecting the sky, still on the surface but deep underneath. People are drawn to it because it promises something beyond what's immediately visible. They want to dive in, to explore the depths they sense but can't see. That curiosity gives you control, because curiosity demands attention, and attention is where power lies. Consider the power of silence in moments of conflict. When tempers flare and voices rise, your refusal to engage can disarm the situation. Silence creates space. Space for cooling off, for reflection, for resetting the tone. It makes others realize that you are the one holding your composure, the one with the upper hand. They become curious about your calm, wondering what makes you so unshakable. Your silence tells a story of strength without saying a word. Even in everyday moments, your silence sets you apart. It shows that you are thoughtful, that you listen more than you speak, that you choose your words with care. This careful silence invites respect. It signals that you are not desperate to be heard, but confident enough to let your presence speak for itself. People naturally gravitate toward those who don't overshare, who hold a bit of mystery. They respect those who understand that sometimes less is infinitely more. When you master the art of silence, you master the art of control. You control the pace of conversations, the energy of interactions, and the curiosity of those around you. Silence isn't emptiness. It's full of potential. It's a space where you build power, where you create intrigue, where you keep others on their toes. The summer is everything to us. They often things to us like a mother, like a family member, like a friend. Where your silence is your secret language, one that says, I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to prove my worth. I am here, calm and confident, and that is enough. It's a language that captivates and commands. It's a tool that shapes how the world sees you, how it respects you, and how it responds to you. In the chaos of the world, it's easy to lose yourself in noise. Noise of opinions, judgments, expectations, and endless distraction. But when you step into silence, that's where true magic happens. In silence, you don't just stop hearing the outside world, you begin to hear your own power. It's like tuning a radio to a frequency you never knew existed. A frequency where your deepest strength, your clarity, and your true self speak loudest. Imagine waking up early, before the sun rises, when everything is quiet. No emails, no messages, no rush, just stillness. In those moments, if you listen closely, you can hear your heartbeat, your breath, your thoughts. It is in that silence that you reconnect with your inner voice, the one that tells you who you are, beyond your roles, your failures, your fears. This silence is your power source, the wellspring from which courage and confidence flow. In our fast-paced lives, we often rush to fill silence with noise. We talk to avoid thinking, we scroll to avoid feeling. But what if the silence you fear is the very thing you need to awaken your strength? When you dare to be silent, you give yourself the gift of introspection. You confront your doubts and your dreams face to face. And in that confrontation, you realize how strong you really are. Think about moments when you faced criticism or rejection. The world shouts at you with harsh words or cold shoulders. But when you retreat into silence, you find a sanctuary. It is there, in the quiet, that you hear your own worth, unshaken by the noise of others. That silence becomes your shield and your sword. It allows you to absorb the blows without breaking, to reflect without losing hope, and to rise stronger than before. There was a time when a great athlete, after a tough loss, chose silence instead of excuses. While the crowd demanded answers, he stayed quiet, retreating into himself to understand what went wrong. In that silence, he found his power. Focus, determination, and a renewed fire. The next time he stepped onto the field, he was unstoppable. Weapons. Choosing silence allows you to hear your heart clearly. Instead of reacting out of anger or fear, silence helps you listen to your true feelings. You realize what you truly deserve and what boundaries you need to set. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting your inner strength and self-respect. It is in this quiet space that you reclaim your power to love and to let go. In the workplace, Silence can be your greatest ally. When colleagues compete with loud voices, the person who listens silently often holds the real power. By absorbing information, analyzing situations, and thinking deeply, you prepare yourself to act with precision. Your silence signals confidence. It shows you are not rattled by drama or noise. When you finally speak, your words carry weight because they come from a place of calm authority. Think about the times you faced overwhelming stress or anxiety. Everyone around you might be shouting solutions or advice, but you find relief in silence. In that quiet moment, you listen to your breath, grounding yourself. You hear the steady rhythm of life inside you, reminding you that you are stronger than any storm outside. Silence helps you reset your mind, regain control, and move forward with purpose. When you cultivate silence in your daily life, whether through meditation, quiet walks, or moments of solitude, you tap into a reservoir of inner power. This power isn't loud or flashy, it's steady, calm, and unbreakable. It's the power that says, I know who I am enough, I am capable. It's a power that doesn't depend on approval or recognition because it comes from within. In silence, you also hear your intuition speaking clearly, that quiet inner voice that guides your decisions, warns you of danger, and nudges you toward your dreams, becomes unmistakable. When the world clamors for your attention, silence helps you distinguish your true path from distractions. You learn to trust yourself deeply, and that trust is the foundation of real power. Silence teaches patience. It reminds you that not every moment requires a response. Not every battle requires a fight. Sometimes the greatest power is in waiting, observing, and knowing when to move. This patience born from silence transforms you into a force that cannot be hurried, pushed, or controlled by others. Your silence is a powerful space where your spirit grows strong. It is where you listen to your own heartbeat and realize you are capable of more than you ever imagined. It is where you hear the quiet roar of your courage and your resolve. When you embrace silence, you embrace your power in its purest form. Silence is the weapon they never see coming. In a world obsessed with noise, attention, and reaction, silence is often misunderstood as weakness or surrender. But silence is the most powerful weapon you can wield because it disarms, confuses, and ultimately conquers without a single word spoken. When others expect you to fight back with loud words, you stay quiet. And that silence becomes your unexpected strength, your secret strategy that leaves them off guard. Think about the time someone has tried to provoke you. A harsh comment, a cutting insult, or an unfair accusation. The natural urge is to respond, to defend yourself, to prove your worth. But when you choose silence instead, you shift the entire dynamic. Your silence confuses them, makes them second-guess themselves. They expected a reaction, but you gave them nothing. It's like stepping back in a chess game and leaving your opponent wondering what your next move is. That silence is the weapon they never prepared for. Consider a story from the corporate world. A young leader faced constant undermining from colleagues who tried to sabotage her ideas and question her authority. Instead of retaliating or arguing, she used silence as her weapon. She listened carefully, observed, and waited for the right moment. When she finally spoke, her words were precise, powerful, and undeniable. Because they came from a place of calm confidence, not desperation. Her silence had built her power, made her presence impossible to ignore. Silence in difficult conversations is often the most strategic move. When someone pushes your buttons, trying to get a reaction, your refusal to engage frustrates them. They throw words like weapons, but silence blocks every attack. It's like a fortress where their arrows bounce off, and in that silence, you gather your strength, think clearly, and keep control. They never see this coming because they are used to noise, chaos, and drama, not the quiet storm of your calm resilience. In relationships, silence can be the ultimate power play. When someone tries to manipulate or control you through guilt or anger, your silence becomes a boundary they cannot cross. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's a way to protect your peace without escalating conflict. When you stop reacting, you take away their power to control your emotions. Your silence speaks louder than any argument could. It says, I am not your puppet, I am in control of myself. That is a weapon no one can defeat. Imagine a moment when a friend or a family member tries to drag you into their drama. They want to provoke you, to pull you into chaos. But you remain silent, calm, and steady. Your silence sends a powerful message. You will not be disturbed, distracted, or diminished. It is the kind of strength that shifts energy away from conflict and toward peace. They expect a fight, but instead, they get the quiet power of your unwavering silence. Silence also becomes a weapon in moments of negotiation or debate. When you stay silent after a demand or a proposal, it creates tension. People feel the pressure to speak, to justify, to explain. Your silence turns the spotlight back on them. They become uncomfortable, wondering what you are thinking, what your next move will be. That silence is a psychological advantage, a tool that keeps you in control without saying a word. Every time you choose silence over noise, you are wielding a weapon that doesn't cut outward but cuts deeper inward, cutting through confusion, distraction, and manipulation. You sharpen your own focus, protect your inner peace, and build an aura of mystery and strength. People respect and fear that silence because it holds power beyond their understanding. The beauty of silence is that it's always available to you. It doesn't cost anything, and no one can take it away. It is your secret weapon that grows stronger the more you use it. When others shout, you listen. When others attack, you remain calm. When others react impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. And sometimes, not at all. That is the greatest strength you can possess. Silence, as a weapon, demands patience and discipline. It means resisting the urge to prove yourself or to explain every detail. It means understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all, except hold your ground in quiet confidence. That quiet confidence radiates power. It makes others respect your presence, wonder about your thoughts, and fear the strength you quietly carry. In moments when the world feels loud and overwhelming, your silence is your shield and your sword. It protects your energy, it preserves your dignity, and it empowers your spirit. The weapon of silence is not loud, but it is deadly effective. It moves without warning, strikes without noise, and wins without battle. The woman who masters silence owns the room. There's a magnetic power in silence that commands attention without a single word. It's not about filling space with noise or trying to be the loudest. It's about presence. The kind of presence that makes people stop, look, and listen. When a woman masters silence, she speaks volumes without speaking at all. Her silence becomes a language, a force, an energy that fills the room and draws people in. Imagine walking into a crowded space where everyone is talking over each other, trying to be heard. Then there's her, calm, composed, silent, yet somehow more powerful than the noise around her. That silence isn't emptiness. It's a statement. It says, I am here. I am confident. I am in control. The woman who masters silence owns that space because she doesn't need to shout to be noticed. Her quiet strength makes others lean in, curious and respectful. In meetings or social gatherings, many rush to fill every pause with chatter. But the woman who understands the power of silence knows that sometimes the best move is to listen. She listens not just to respond, but to understand deeply. In that silence, she gathers information, reads the room, and learns the true intentions behind words. This makes her unstoppable because she acts with insight, not impulse. When she finally speaks, her words carry weight because they come from a place of thoughtful power. Think about the difference between someone who talks constantly but says little and someone who speaks rarely but leaves a lasting impression. The latter is the woman who masters silence. Her words are like arrows, precise and impactful. She knows that every word has power, so she chooses them wisely. People remember what she says because it's meaningful, not because she speaks the most. This mastery of silence turns ordinary conversations into moments of influence. In moments of conflict, silence becomes her greatest weapon. Instead of engaging in pointless arguments or letting emotions dictate her reactions, she stays silent and composed. This silence unnerves others because they expect noise, they expect chaos, but instead, they get a calm that is unshakable. The woman who masters silence controls the energy of the room, diffusing tension without raising her voice. Her silence is a shield that protects her peace and a sword that disarms hostility. Everyday life gives countless examples of this power. Consider a mother who remains silent when her child is throwing a tantrum, not out of weakness, but because she understands that her silence communicates patience and authority. The child learns to calm down, sensing her quiet strength. Or a teacher who listens intently to her students' struggles, then offers a few calm, encouraging words that inspire confidence. A silence before speaking is where the magic happens. It builds trust and respect. Even in friendships, the woman who masters silence owns her space. She knows when to speak and when to simply be present. Sometimes, her friends don't need advice or answers. They just need her silent presence, a steady reminder that they are not alone. This silence creates a deep connection that words often fail to build. Is a power rooted in empathy and authenticity, the kind that builds unbreakable bonds. In moments of personal reflection, silence becomes the key to self-mastery. The woman who masters silence uses these quiet moments to center herself, to hear her inner voice above the noise of the world. She learns to trust her intuition and make decisions from a place of clarity, not chaos. This internal silence is what fuels her outer strength. It's the foundation of her confidence, resilience, and grace. The room changes when she enters. People feel it. It's the aura of someone who has learned to harness the power of quiet, who knows that dominance is not about volume, but about presence. She commands respect effortlessly because she owns herself fully. Her silence is not a void, but a force field that shapes the atmosphere. When she speaks, it's not just sound, it's an experience. Mastering silence is a journey of self-discovery and discipline. It requires patience to hold back the urge to react immediately, courage to stay calm in the face of provocation, and wisdom to understand when silence speaks louder than words. The woman who masters silence owns not only the room, but also her destiny, because she has learned that power lies not in noise, but in the quiet command of her own spirit. She inspires others without trying, influences without pushing, and leads without demanding. That is the essence of owning the room, a silent confidence that fills every corner with undeniable strength. Every moment you choose silence over noise, you step into a realm of power that few dare to enter. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not weakness, it is strength. In the words of the great Maya Angelou, we need much less than we think we need. You can only win when you elevate your voice. And once you do, Maya Angelou, we need much less than we think we need. And sometimes that much less is simply knowing when to speak and when to hold your peace. The woman who masters silence is the woman who masters herself. She understands that the greatest power lies not in shouting the loudest, but in commanding the room with quiet confidence. Remember what Nelson Mandela said, when a man is denied the right to live, he lifts simply by being present. When someone is denied the right to live, he is forced to become a rebel. Silence can be your rebellion, not against others, but against the chaos that tries to consume your spirit. It is a peaceful protest that says, I am unshaken, I am unbreakable. When you hold your silence, you are not surrendering. You are standing tall in a storm that rages around you, untouched, untouchable. The wisdom of silence is echoed in the words of Lao Tzu. Silence is a source of great strength. This strength is what allows you to look adversity in the eye without flinching, to walk into any room with your head held high, and to own every moment without a single word wasted. Silence sharpens your focus, fuels your resilience, and fortifies your soul. It is the language of the strong, the brave, and the wise. In your journey, you will face countless moments that challenge you to react, to defend, to explain yourself. But the true queen knows when to wield silence like a sword. She knows that silence is a statement louder than any shout, a presence more commanding than any argument, As Oprah Winfrey famously said, when you undervalue what you do, the world will undervalue who you are. By mastering silence, you refuse to undervalue yourself. You claim your space and demand the respect you deserve. Silence is also the birthplace of clarity. In the quiet, you hear your own thoughts and dreams more clearly than ever before. It's in those silent moments that you align with your purpose, reconnect with your passion, and ignite your inner fire. Steve Jobs reminded us, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. The silence you master is the silence where innovation is born. It is the quiet before the storm of greatness that you are destined to create. And never forget the words of Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Silence is your refusal to consent to negativity, to drama, to distraction. It is your armor against the world's noise, your fortress of solitude where your power grows. The woman who masters silence owns the room because she owns her power. She is a force of nature, a calm in the chaos, a light that cannot be dimmed. So stand tall in your silence. Let it be your shield and your sword. Speak when your words matter and hold your peace when they do not. Harness the power of silence to transform not just your presence, but your life. The world may try to drown you in noise, but your silence will be the signal that sets you apart. A signal of strength, wisdom, and unstoppable grace. As the great Rumi said, raise your words, not voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Your silence is your rain, nurturing the garden of your soul, growing the flowers of your dreams and your destiny. Own your silence, own your power, and watch how the world falls silent in your presence. You are not here to compete with the noise. You are here to rise above it. You are not here to be loud. You are here to be heard. You are the woman who masters silence. And because of that, you own the room.